Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of MansaTek Mindset Mondays. I'm your host, Victor Adatiba. Let's go ahead and get to it this week. So, the topic that I'm going to discuss this week is consuming negativity. Consuming negativity. And when you hear it, right, it can kind of have dual meanings. One is a negativity that consumes you, consumes your thoughts, consumes your actions, consumes your decisions. And the other one is you personally consuming negative things. That could be negative text messages from people in your circle. That could be negative content on social media, on the internet, on the news. That could be just having negative conversations with people, right? Consuming these things and internalizing them. And usually, the latter leads to the former. Consuming negativity from the people around you or from sources around you usually ends up consuming you and your thoughts. And so we've got to be careful and we have to guard our mind. We have to guard our peace. We have to guard our life against negativity, particularly if we are someone who is susceptible to that negativity affecting us. Um, there are five things I'm going to discuss today. Five reasons why you should guard yourself against that negativity. Five things that, or five ways that your life can negatively be impacted by consuming negativity. The first one is increased stress. Um, Generally speaking, I like to live I wouldn't say stress-free life, but I like to minimize the things that I stress about in my life. And so when you consume negativity on a regular basis, it can lead to increased stress levels. Um, Negative news stories, again, social media posts, all of these things can trigger the release of hormones, stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, which can all have a negative impact on your physical and your mental health. And so you will suffer both physically and emotionally if you overconsume too much negativity. So how do you guard against that? Well, sometimes you have to put down the social media, right? Sometimes you have to block certain types of posts from showing up on your social media feed. I know during the pandemic, it was tough to see so many of my people being killed and or abused by um, by police officers, and it seemed to become a daily occurrence. And I know that took a heavy toll on me during the pandemic. It took a heavy toll on a lot of people. And although I believe it's important for us to be abreast and be aware of what's happening in the world and be aware of the way the world is receiving us. Still have to guard your mind against that. Here recently, it's been extremely difficult to see the number of school shootings that have been happening or mass shootings that have been happening very recently as last week. We had a shooting here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And just listening to the details of that can be very stressful, right, and negative. But sometimes you have to, again, be aware of what's going on. But you got to limit that consumption of negativity. Limit it, because it can definitely take a toll on you. The second effect consuming or over consuming negativity can have on you is a negative mindset. Constant exposure to negativity can create a negative mindset, which can make it difficult for you to see the positive in situations. This can lead to feelings of hopelessness, helplessness, depression, and anxiety. And so if you know that you have a predisposition to any of these things, then again, you have to limit your intake. I like to think that I have a very positive mindset. And so when I get around too many negative Nancy's or people talking negatively or people who lack faith or don't believe, I have to distance myself from those people because I don't believe anything is impossible. And I believe that I can achieve all things through Christ, right? So people who don't believe that can impact you very negatively. The next risk for consuming negativity is going to be decreased resilience. Decreased resilience. Your ability to bounce back from challenges or setbacks can make you feel like the world is a negative and unsafe place, which sometimes it can be. For some people, it very well can be. But this can erode our resilience and our confidence over time. And so, again, you've got to guard yourself against consuming this negativity. So many of our youth and many adults as well are overly reliant on the opinions of others. And so if you haven't concretely identified and have a deep understanding of who you are, then consuming that negativity about yourself can lead to a very dark and abysmal existence. Next is decreased empathy. Consuming negativity can decrease our ability to empathize with others. It can make us feel more isolated, less connected to our communities, and all of these things can have a negative impact on our relationships and our sense of being. And finally, decreased productivity. Consuming negativity can decrease our productivity and our motivation to be productive. It can be extremely difficult to focus on your goals and take positive actions when we are constantly bombarded with negative messages. And so, one, I would say, find a circle of friends or influences that uplift you. That could be music, That could be um, motivational speakers. That could be self-help books. That could be just friends and family that are constantly in a mode of uplifting you. Find positivity to consume, because in all of these places that I named previously, like the news and like social media, if you seek it out, you can find positivity that will help uplift you. But depending on your algorithm, depending on what you watch, depending on what you like, what you share, your algorithm could be feeding you more of what you have historically sought out. And so if you're in a negative place because of previous social media decisions that you've made, the algorithm will continue to feed you more of what you've liked in the past. And so you've got to start changing your algorithm, start searching out new information. There are many life coaches or um, motivational self-help speakers on YouTube that you can find, hours and hours, probably millions of hours of videos that you can find of people like Tony Robbins, of people like Jim Rohn, of people like Inky Johnson, so many positive people. Let me see if I can hop on YouTube and find Eric Thomas, people like that. Consume those positive messages, consume those uplifting messages, consume those messages that will push you into becoming the next version of yourself and having a more positive outlook on life and on your situation. Again, with that, Victor Adetiba, MansaTek Mindset Mondays. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Peace.